Good morning, good evening, and wherever you are, I hope you're having a good day. Today I'll be reading some poetry in English. Nothing too special, just the usual poems I've been writing for a little while. Uh, I'll probably be putting some music on. I don't know. Have to figure it out a little bit how this goes. Hey, Fank 910814. Am I in China? Oh, you're saying this because of the Chinese calendar? No, I'm not. No. I'm in Belgium, Europe. It's good to meet you, though. What about you? Where are you from? So I'm gonna be selecting a few poems. Earth. That's the best place to be from. And okay, here we go. Hit my up with my favorite poem, man. Heck yeah. Well, I'm glad you enjoy poetry, dude. I gotta admit, it helps a lot. So, the first poem I'll be reading to you guys is called Hellish Birthday. It's a poem I wrote for birthdays, obviously. And it basically talks about the passage of time and how a person becomes older as the year goes by, and how we ponder, on that while we get birthdays, basically. Hellish Birthday. Time unravels as a burning candle. As my eyes are shut, the moment passes, reminding me of full hour glasses when grains of sand were easy to handle. In the darkness, it lights the path ahead, taking me further than I could have been led. I open my eyes, and it's halfway through. A song broke the silence as my breath blew. The older I get, the more candles burn. For each of them, I look into the past, to days in which everything was to yearn. The world was a playground and very vast. With each grain of sand comes a memory, and soon I myself am the piling sand, and the memory becomes reverie. Light as the lifeline from my palm's hand soon vanishes, and the song slowly ceases, leaving me a strange sensation of peace. Been a long time since I read that poem. I feel rusty. But I guess it wasn't too bad of a reading. So, it's middle of the night here. I hope that's pretty nice, though I'm a bit confused on the imaginary. Well, if you want, I can explain a little bit. So the first part, time unravels as a burning candle. It's basically talking about, the passage of time. And as my eyes are shut, the moment passes, reminding me of full hour glasses, which are those counting times when grains of sand were easy to handle. And there I'm talking about childhood. In the darkness, it lights the path ahead, taking me further than I could have been led, which I basically make some sort of explanation in which the more we spend time in this life and the more we go ahead, every year we keep going further than actually anybody could lead us to go. And I open my eyes, and it's halfway through. A song broke the silence. Well, it's basically the moment that you realize that birthdays are coming up, and you have absolutely no control about it, and it's not as cheery and joyful as it was when we were kids. So for each of them, which is like the grains of sand, I look into the past today in which everything was to yearn. And well, that's my description of how we look into the past, and we look at the world with envy as child. But in the end, it's the world is just the world. The world was a playground and very vast. With each grain of sand comes a memory, and soon I myself am the piling sand. Because in the end, what are we except if not our own memory? We're a pile of little memories, basically, that guides us forward. Light as the lifeline from my palm's hand soon vanishes. So basically, at some point when you get older, well, the light vanishes, and the palm's hand, well, it disappears. And when I talk about the lines, the lifeline in the palm's hand, I make a metaphor about how, well, the length of a lifetime, basically. I feel like time is somewhat a false sense of passage. Since day to day, it is just the same. Though we change and develop, I find time to be rather consistent and uncaring to the human suffering. Well, yeah, that's undeniable. And my thoughts about it. Okay, it's gonna sound stupid to say that, but I feel that time, first of all, is extremely relative to the observer. So, for example, when I was a kid, time seemed extremely slow. The older I get, well, time seems to go faster. And I can also say stuff like the one thing I've noticed about time is, for example, the past doesn't exist anymore, the future doesn't exist yet, and the present is basically that frontier between two unexisting things, which bear to question: is the present something real, or is it just an illusion that we believe because we need to understand what's going on? Which would be kind of crazy, but it is plausible. Thanks for the company, by the way. Fart for $5. I wish I could fart on wheel. Tell you what, next time I fart, I'll make it loud, and you don't have to pay me. Do you think it is only fast since you unconsciously understand that as you age, you have less of time? No, I think I don't know actually. I guess consciousness is meaningful in the sense that it is about perspective and looking at what time is. But I think it's about the events. Like, the happier the event, the faster it's gonna go. It's gonna go so fast that you won't even be able to notice it. But if it's like something really, really bad, it's gonna go in super slow motion. So I imagine that there are good events that lead us to feel time like it slows down. Like, I would imagine somebody that has a baby suddenly feels that time slows down as the baby is born. But I'm not sure. I haven't had kids myself, and but the sensation, the emotional state of someone, I think affects the most the pace of time, or at least the perspective of the pace of time. I've got a few poems about time actually. Be reading them a little bit later. For now, my next poem is called Hellish Birthday. as the incendiary tongues reaches me, burning flames turn all my past to ashes. Sparking from a hellish hole as flashes, it lifts on devouring all memory. Soon the air is fiery smoldering smoke, and the fumes are so warm it burns it all. It turns my eyesight grey until I choke. My breath strangled by lack of air, I fall. As slowly as I lose all cognizance, I see turn to ashes all providence. Torching all, fire takes life of its own, and soon it flourishes and is all grown. It licks my skin, burns my hair, turns me blind, goes to my soul till there's nothing to find. It leaves nothing but ruin and rubbles bright, till all that's left is fire in my sight, reminding me one last time of it all. The combustion grows all so very tall that even laying down I lose my ground. Soon, with no air, there's not even a sound. My home and my mind became a furnace, and that ardent heat replaces my heart, as if myself of this house was the heart from which those flames came for my last embrace. I agree. Emotion is probably the biggest factor in determining how people sense time. Yes, yes. And, well, it's kind of related to your next question actually. Is this an internal anger type of thing? It is. Well, I write about events that have happened to me usually. So, I'm a fire survivor, you know. I've survived a fire which was pretty rough. It was after about 3 years ago. Um, so I guess I experienced firsthand what it is to be in a room that burns to the ground, and obviously I'm dealing with anger sometimes and loss, I guess, and I use as a tool um, the events of my life and the things I know to represent my personal feelings. So in this case, obviously, there is something that's connected to anger, but it is also connected to, some reality. Okay. Thank you so much for the company, by the way. It's Titus Protectionist and Fang. It's really cool. Okay. Sorry to hear that. Have you tried to write your poems in a third person and see if you can disconnect yourself from you? Actually, when I write poetry, the best. Yeah, I've tried third person, but even on the third person, I don't disconnect myself. The only way that I found to disconnect myself is when I specifically write for somebody else and I have to detach myself from that person before. Like, for example, the other day, well, most of the time I write for girls because somehow I know it's gonna sound a little biased, but somehow for a guy poet, it's a little bit easier to be inspired by women. That said, it's I get inspired by men too, on a non-romantic way. And I have this friend who's a marathon racer, and to me it's really hard to write a poem in which I'll be complimenting a man because it feels a little bit awkward. However, I can write a poem about him being a marathon racer, and the feeling that he gets while he races, the victory feeling when he passes the line and stuff like that. So basically, I'm talking about something I don't know to somebody that knows very well about it. And when I do this, I, I enjoy writing still, but it's not the same process as writing for myself about things that touch me and that I know. It's more of a work, mental effort, like I have to force myself into focusing on what that person specifically likes and trying to imagine it. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay. So, my next poem is called To Goodness. If the past. Oh, wait. I find poem to be rather subjective and lack a way of outsiders to relate if you don't understand certain context. However, if a person writes in third person and be detached from him herself, I find it easier for another person to understand, which I actually totally agree. And I'll be even more honest with you. I'm gonna say something that you might not like, but one of the things that took me a long time to understand as a poet is that poetry is not meant to be understood the way I wrote it. Everybody's gonna find some type of meaning with it. So, for example, that poem I wrote about fire, you perceived anger. Uh, I was pretty much feeling despair while I was writing it, but it's not what matters. It's not what I was feeling when I was writing it that matters. It's actually what you're feeling when you hear it or when you read it that matters. And it applies for pretty much everything. Honestly, like it's really impressive how sometimes I can be writing a poem, or I mean reading a poem in public, and then people will come up to me, and obviously I'll be thankful that they'll talk to me and tell me that they like the poetry. But eventually I'll notice that we're not the same people. We have different perspective about politics, religion, love, and my poems are understood in different ways than I meant them I meant them to be understood. Just give me 1 second, I'll be right back. I need to pick up something. Okay, there we go. So, my next poem is called To Goodness. It's a poem about being helpful and how it matters to well to do good around our life. If the past doesn't exist anymore and the hereafter hasn't come to be yet, the present will be everything therefore, and everything could always be reset. It matters not to follow everyone, nor to compete to beat everyone else. It matters not that one has lost or won. All that matters is to help those in distress. There is no being better or normal, nor such thing as always acting formal. There is only helping without bias, even if everyone else defies us. There isn't apologies or thankfulness that could replace fair acts towards others. When all around there is no more kindness, help others by doing for them wonders. Wonders will always be what is needed. It won't be what is vainly desired. It will be simple acts that once seeded will grow into what's really required. Yet, one has to do and not just observe, or even worse, to simply ignore it. Even then, praising should not be deserved, as no one should ever be a misfit. It isn't that there are no heroics, but no one should ever be in distress. I would rather be completely stoic and have all receiving human progress. Somehow, not everybody likes this poem. As a person who likes clarity in message, I really dislike unclear message. And to be honest, poem is in that gray area of how even the poet can change what they meant in different environments. The ambiguous meaning is what makes it beautiful and yet also distorted and ugly. To your last poem, do you think there are humans beyond help? Well, I actually think it's even worse than that. I think that us as human, we have the possibility to help others, but us as human can never be helped, truly helped. I mean, in the sense that nobody is gonna save you from your life. You have to live your life. That said, it's not because nobody can be helped that we shouldn't be helpful. I mean, if I had a kid, I would teach him not to depend on help from others. But I would also teach him to help others. Just in the sense that it's the right thing to do. And when somebody helps you, well, we shouldn't take it for, well, not you, but if I will tell my kid, if when somebody helps you, we shouldn't take that for granted. We should actually be thankful because it's special. It's not, it's not normal. It's not something that we deserve. It's something that people do to show appreciation or because it's the right thing to do. They don't do it because we deserve it. So, help is a really complicated thing. I guess, in some ways, doctors can help you by saving your life and stuff like that, or some copper could save my life by stopping a crime on me if I was the victim. Mm. But on and on, I'm not sure if the motive would be to save me or actually to just do their job and do what they know, even if it comes from a good heart. I mean, a doctor doesn't become a doctor to specifically heal me. He becomes a doctor because he loves medicine and it's a passion for him. Well, then again, it's hard for me to always read people. Like I imagine there must be some extremely good-hearted people out there. If you do have any question about gray area or what I meant in my poem, I don't mind talking about it. It just I do have this feeling that you guys should, uh, you know, understand it on your own. Oh yeah, totally. It was awesome talking to you. Don't forget to, give me a little follow or whatever. And if you want to join my Discord, don't hesitate. I'm an asshole, so yeah. That's all good. I got actually a joke about this. Did you know that the very first organ that's made when a baby is a fetus in his mom belly is actually the digestion organs, which means that at one point we were all assholes because it starts by the asshole. Basically, at the beginning, it's just a tube with a little asshole, and that's what we were. I think we should take comfort on that, to know that every human being at one point or the other was just and only an asshole. Anyway, my next poem is called After All's Gone. After all's gone, all that's left is knowledge. Even if, even as my throat is under dead sight, and I feel my breathing sliced by its edge, I see what splits the past from sentences lied. The runes fall into deafening crashes, and the smoldering leftovers are gone. Soon, even the rubbles become ashes. All is gone, and what's left has crashed down. Still, the memory of it all is fresh. Where now there's nothing left, I can see thousands of dead standing alive in the flesh, calling for their home and their ruined city. Memory may fail, but knowledge keeps on. Perhaps one day all will be forgotten. Ignorance under some veil may creep on, and our secret garden soon be rotten. However, as long as there will be skills, mentors, and students to teach or learn, and for education a feeling of thrill, even where there's nothing, hope returns. Okay, let's see if I can, attract some people and fill up a little bit this room. Okay, let's see. Well, hopefully I managed to attract some people. I think that's pretty much about it. That's pretty much about it. Okay, so they say in this nothing on my channel. Nobody's alive. Well, let's keep on going with reading. Don't let me burn. May this fiery fate have mercy on me. May its fire never swallow me whole, as if it was a hellish tsunami that would burn me in my thousands rolls, burning everything till I be left sole, just conscious enough to see my failing. Don't let everything I am be its call, and my last words be a lasting wailing. Don't take everything before my demise. Don't let me watch over and over my end and leave me to agonize, till even my memory be a blur in that hellish furnace of an instant, instead of my lifetime now too distant. Liberate me from this endless hell. Liberate me from those burning shackles, so I shan't turn into a lifeless shell. Under this heat, don't let my mind crackle. A flash fire is burning my memories. My thoughts gone, now my mind starts to crackle. Under the heat of hurtful sensory, my nerves feel like being blocked and tackled. To live, to be alive, and to live just to live. To live for everyone and everything and be there for them. To live to give. To live for parents and offspring. To live to do well for the afterlife and every day do God's worshipping. To live so everyone around can strive, and with love soon have an engagement ring. To live for discovery on itself, for reason or none, and to be amazed at each breakthrough achieved from a bookshelf. To live to uncover all in one's gaze. To live to feel the warmth of being loved. To live because to die would be useless, even if life is as useless thereof. To live, especially as it is senseless. To live for pleasure, whatever that is. To live for hope by despair or revenge, like I do a self-analysis. To survive at all cost, dug in a trench. To live, to survive until all is gone. To look in the past, present or future, and to live for it all until all's done. Till all my wounds one by one are sutured. To live at any and all price or cost. To live whatever one has to do. To survive through the Holocaust. To survive through war's times till a breakthrough. Ooh, I'm alone on my stream. I didn't see that. Oh well. Okay, so next poem. Panic attack. I'm having a deadly panic attack. Through my chest, my heart is about to crash. My broken bones tremble, making strange cracks. Nightmarish memories through darkness slash. My heart pounds and pounds, each beating faster than the one before, each beat more painful. Soon I'm not anymore my own master, and all I'm capable of is dreadful. Drops from this fever feel like frozen shards. The palm of my hands are wet yet so cold. My shaken hands couldn't hold the barred card dealt by this destiny of growing old. A cold fever shakes down my broken spine. My angel wings are falling to the front as my back's crushed under hell army's line. Instead of screams, all I've got left are grunts. My muscles are taken by painful spasm, then are frozen into paralysis. I crumble under my heart's constant rams, as what's left for me here fuel this crisis. My breath is uncontrolled and there is no air. I gasp in tears, reminded of the fumes. I sob at what I have become. I stare at past, present, and future, and see gloom. Before me, my reality burns down. Soon, all I can perceive is fire and smoke. I can see beyond, blood being blown, as if it was toxic smog meant to choke. As present. I am nothing and there is nothing left. Past, soon begone, does not persist through time. Days forgotten are just like knowledge theft, except for the fact that they aren't crimes. If the future hasn't come to be yet, then really it might never come to be. Days to come never might have they offset, nor hope become actuality. Thus, the future isn't reality. Hopes are merely thoughts that may or may not come to be, but there aren't guarantees that we will achieve whatever we sought. All that matters is that dreadful present, constantly actual and solely real. Our existence was never really meant to pre-exist or persist through time's wheel. We are but dreaming we are but dreamers living a nightmare that we, poor soul, have conceived for self. For more time we beg and do few prayers, while we're but pages in a bookstore shelf. The spinning of time. The spinning of times never ends. They prime so far they legends. The stars ascend and descends, and our comprehension transcends. Time unravel itself as clot, being abstract and concrete both. We go from born to soon betrothed, and we forget our birth and growth. In the first days we buy our time, there's no consequence to our crimes. Every day is just another rhyme, and we become more and more grime. Then, after years, time wears us down. Every single little thing makes us frown, and soon by problems we feel drowned. We leave our crown to become clowns, running after a spinning clock. We sail from horizon to dock at any place, be it a rock or treasure island with stock. But time never slows down or stops. It falls down as rain, drops by drops. The hopes of the unsatisfied. The better days were yesterday. Time unravels a story plays, yet remembrance, long called away, never belong and never stay. Those better days may never last. Further in the past, they always cast memory away in a blast, making me want to run so fast no one could ever make me stop. Through and around I always hop, up and down towards further stop. So high, there's naught left but to drop. Dead man walking. Dead man walking falls in the void, drops dead in lands of life devoid. There's nothing left but him destroyed by all his life's flashback annoyed. Those memories are subjective to everything that's additive. Even when memory's attentive, the past will always be captive. Good days never last forever. Bad days are endless, however. They are like eternal fevers, making us hopeless believers. I wish I could have some guests. It would be so awesome to have some people reading with me. I don't know. Doesn't look like anybody's online. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if I can pick another poem. There is one. Yeah, there is a few poems that I would like to read actually. Those are of a different style. At night, I dance with the shadows. The song in my mind humming low follows my step in afterglows. In the eye of the tornado I'm swirling high above the ground. All is blurred into vertigo. I forget everything I know. While listening to silent sounds, I forget everything I know. I remember days long ago when we danced beneath that willow and we kissed under mistletoe. I lost my heart in that meadow. I dance alone with my shadow. The lights dim and there's no sound. My despair does not let me go. As I dance, I remain shallow. My distress reigns on my gallows. All is buried by sorrow. Oh, if only I could let go, forget each one of my wounds, but I, lost by curses spellbound my shadow and self long ago. Light surrounds me, the fire grows and burns and twirls in tempo. My ghost left they burial grounds. No, they free and we waltz around. We spin as ourself we confound, and soon I forget all I've known. The darkness is cold to the skin. In my mind to the void akin, my inner walls are closing in. Soon my shadow is breaking in. My phantom guides me by the hand, from here to past a long forgotten. I'm with her, dancing on the sand, beneath golden clouds of cotton. Then I dance with my shadow, till we are both one with the dark, as this present that's just a spark. I vanish within the void's flow. I'm sorry, it's the way it always goes. You can hold on and beg, I suppose, but they all already know how it goes. Soon you'll be surrounded by shadows. All our grand hopes and secret garden froze long before your heart started to necrose. The song of your past feel like the they compose the spine of your mortality's prose. I'm sorry. It's the way it always goes. You could give up and cry, I suppose, and abandon yourself in shameful moans. Yet, distress by pain overexposes or weakness. No, or sadness overflow, and shadows are still ready to bulldoze our secret garden and all its meadows. I'm sorry, it's the way it always goes. We could hold on and pray, I suppose. Nonetheless, I also know what this does. Gone are the bees, the flower and meadows. It is time to take off your hat and clothes and lay naked and cold from head to toes. Your carcass is being observed by crows, but don't worry. In your tomb you repose, undisturbed and surrounded by scarecrows. I'm sorry. It's the way it always goes. I know, I know. We were bros and heroes. Our future was bright and our past still glows. For a while we sat together on thrones, and now you and I will end up in halls. Remember, we have taken all the roads, and that our life are nothing but prologues. Oh, bam. Damn, this is hard to keep up. Uh, yeah, yeah. This server is pretty much empty, huh? I wonder if I should just change the language and go into French somehow. Okay, let's keep reading a little bit. Think about it. Just think for a second. Hang on to your thoughts as the truth beckons. More and more truth and lies in your mind. Don't forget your foundation and remind yourself of who you are and what and want to be. Then, perhaps, under some self-made decree, you will go further than you could have gone, and you would become your own paragon. Don't lose your peace of mind, for what was left behind was to be forgotten, and if none too often you spend nights pondering, is he still wandering, lone in the depth of night? Then you'd know you were right. Don't lose your time or days wondering what could have been. We won't see eye to eye. Another holds your chin and spins your heart and love, and if sometimes you think of a present wherein you and I will still be, know that soon you'll be free. As butterflies entwine the flowers, she appears among them like a rainbow. The enticing rise of purple water repaints the world of colors like a show. Through acid and smoke she paints back the world, and the darkness is removed by colors. While as snails we are within ourselves curled, or as butterflies we fly and flutter, she repaints the plants with newfound flowers. The psychedelic mushrooms sing in chor as they use their colorful powers. The joy amplifies her own desire. Soon the world itself is full of colors, and music and joy swirls and twirls around. The air itself is like golden summer, as all is covered with colors and sound. If lucky, you too will see Rainbow Lass. Then you too will wonder if she is real, or if you're looking through the looking glass at some other world seeming so surreal. There is nothing left for you here. Ah, sorry. That's another poem. Okay, I need a couple of seconds because my jaw is starting to actually hurt. Yeah. Oh, tonight is a lonely night. Yep. Lonely night. Boom, boom. Okay. What is this? is nothing left for you here. You are as alone as you look. You'll cry alone while other cheers. Then they'll see you as a crook, because there will be no more tears, and you will be dry and alone. Dry of love and dry of sadness, and you will feel it to the bone. While your mind goes into sadness. Oh, shit. Oh, gosh. While your mind goes. Well, let me restart this one because this is terrible. There is nothing left for you here. You are as alone as you look. You'll cry alone while others cheers. Then they'll see you as a crook, because there will be no more tears, and you will be dry and alone. Dry of love and dry of sadness, and you will feel it to the bone, while your mind goes into madness. Then, while others speaks, you will moan. Nobody will listen to you, and you will remain in silence. One day, you will hear they boo-hoo, but you will be beyond the fence. I'm an angel whom glorious wings were ripped, a king whom kingdom was burned to the ground. Like a corpse now I reside in a crypt, and like a fish out of its pond I'm drowned. I'm a soldier with no home left to defend, a peacekeeper who lost morality, a killer that wishes to make amend, an immortal longing fatality. I'm a family man forced into war, and I'm always away, so very far. Only Stoics can fight. Only the one who loses everything can really appreciate their value. Only he can really use its strength to perceive from all things their real value. Even when life becomes surreal for him, he will make out that objects are things. From concrete to abstract, in a scheme he'll see what's loyalty from worshipping. Only he who loses his well-being can really value others and their health. Whatever's maintained of their remaining, he will perceive the true worth of their wealth. Prey and hunter. One can only run so long prior hiding. One can hide so long before being found. As a conclusion, there will be fighting. That's why we should always choose battleground. There is no hiding from being hunted, as prey and hunter are one of the same. Eventually, one has to confront their own enemy and play the game. Defeat is acceptable with survival. Sustenance is essential to living. Safety is crucial for revival, even when foes' acts are unforgiving. There we go. There we go. That's much better. I'm so important. The nature of things doesn't exist, or sentience itself is an illusion. Nature, that created us, can't persist under the pressure of our confusion. We pretend that we are more than we are. We call for individuality, friends, and freedom. But no matter how far we end, there's always a finality. Our sentience is a mistake from nature. We pretend to be oh so important that we need to justify our failure. And how easily all is forgotten by accepting in our heart the deceit that for some reason we're more important, that we do not depend on our heartbeat, that to me everything is in accordance, that for some reason our crimes are destined, that God is always looking out for us, that for some greater good I'm predestined, when really my sentience superfluous. Time is meaningless. Seconds are like minutes that are like hours. Hours are like days that are like weeks and months. They have a way to unleash their powers and race through months to years in front. 1 second can last an eternity, not only in causality's ripple, but also in moral's infirmity or even as physically crippled. Years can be like seconds forever stuck on time's arrow from my pocket's watch, while all my life could fill a garbage truck and life itself was drowning from Rorschach. In the end, seconds are part of the void. Soon, years can be decades and centuries, and death's ending grip can't be avoided. Life itself is our penitentiary. Or death is no or death is not really liberation. The knowledge that every person we love will suffer from life's and death's rotation is a reminder of what we get rid of. When what we get rid of is our own self by lying to the point of believing anything that comes from any bookshelf. Every second and words can be deceiving. What are you keeping that you can discard? What has not been burned or taken away? What is it that makes you hold on so hard to the remembrance of long gone spring days? Can't you see that all the light that is left does not find its source in days forgotten, but in smouldering sight from what was bereft, that all that's left in you is the gunman. You, writer, gave your quill pen for a gun. They took away all your words and your muse, and now all that is left is your ghastly run. Like everything inside you became ooze. What you hold on so hard, so close to you, is a lie that you have told to yourself. That bait as a mirage that you pursue from midnight to midday, from noon to 12, can never be attained. So why hold on? Why not just let yourself move on in hell? Why don't you just remove all past passion and accept that there is nowhere left to dwell? Every little part of my soul has crumbled, like a ruined temple, from forgotten times, from full construction to walls in rubbles. The fire that torched it was not a crime. My mind itself has gone to the dark void. I watch the emptiness that surrounds me. My spirit was a plaything with which I toyed until the arrival of the Banshee. Now life's a series of Polaroid filled with ghosts with no hope of escape. I feel the pain like a hemorrhoid and the dizziness like a syncope. All that I was the sum of my past. My past is gone, there's nothing left of me. My past is gone, there's nothing left of me. One single second is left unsurpassed, one that burns away my family tree. First, take away my future, then my past. When that is done, leave me for death's desire. She will take care of it all. If outcast by all the one I knew before the fire, then the fate will even be worse than dead, as there is nothing worse than be exiled, like I was no one from my own homestead. Pretty soon, everyone will be hostile. Opening Hell's Gate. No! Screams the tormented while seeing Hell's Gate. It appears as though he is in the void and Hell's Gate is red from heat radiated. No, 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 he begs while hearing decoyed sounds like the screaming of all his past life that's suddenly about to be destroyed. He thinks one last time of his child and wife prior letting Hell's finger be deployed. Once the gate is opened, it can't be closed. Behind it, Hell on earth has come to be. In an instant to heat he is exposed. No, no, he exclaims in a string of plea. He is blinded by smoke's explosion, then can see fire rise beyond the smoke. Time takes its time. It goes in slow motion. Lack of air and extreme heat makes him choke. Run! Run away! Fire! Fire! Go! He cries while he himself refuses to go. Suddenly the roll of flames seems to flow all around him, while the smoke seems to glow, and the demons are released from Hell's Gate. Everything burns away before his fire, before his eyes. In hell, he is about to suffocate. By hell's fire he sees it all carbonize. He falls on his knees and screams, "No, no, no!" Following this, his hair is caught on fire. It don't matter. He hears from down below electric wire backlash into barbed wire. The fire comes from the roof and from the floor and from that gate which really was a door. Everything burns, even the clothes he wore. As he dies, it don't matter anymore. My next poem is called The Paranoid. There is a man always on the lookout, always waiting for something to happen, fearing sleep and every kind of blackout, expecting any kind of mishappen. That man listens to all conversation, but never share to anyone his thoughts. He'd rather be in total isolation. If not, he looks for signs prior to onslaught. Never to freeze, ready to fight or flight, preferably to fight on his own terms. He's got either too much or no foresight, even ready to clean himself of germs. He doesn't look at his past or future. Set for anything, he has no more pride. His flesh and mind are covered with suture. He constantly waits for what would ignite anything in his close environment. Hopeless, he looks only to the present, which is the source of all his torment. Like an endless, head-swallowing tailed serpent. Fearless, he has only apprehension for any type of following actions. His constant prevention leads to tension. He feels like there is no comprehension. His options always feel like they are bad. For that, he covers himself in steel clad. Okay. Oof, gosh, my jaw is hurting. Okay. I'm gonna fill that with water and I'll be back in a second. Wow. Okay. 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 There we go. Hey, Hitachi, it's good to see you. Hi, sorry. Eating and working a little before bed. Ah, no worries. Perhaps you like one of the poems I read as you work and eat, I guess. Um, Let me find a good poem to read. Well, perhaps I should just read the poems I was gonna read anyway. It's gonna be more easy. My own demon. Just as the second passes, my heart pounds. I feel some kind of demon ripping through my ribcage that is its jail, making sounds of running steps like the devil's pursuit. I know I should run or fight, but I freeze. How could I ever face my own demon, when my heart, my regret I can't appease? He makes me feel like I'm its dark prison. Sometimes it roars of hatred and anger. Sometimes it's waiting for the right moment. Then, with echoing, sonorous clangor, it slashes me with vindictive torment. It makes me feel like it's my jailer, when really it is locked in my prison. To this demon, I am its prisoner, even though this truth is beyond reason. Each pounding louder than the precedent, each beating faster than the one before, to the point of turning me irrelevant. Even as I beg for calm, I am ignored. It's like it's waiting for my time to come. My heart is pouring blood through my thick veins. I am overwhelmed by what I have become. No memory of my past self remains. I haven't transformed into my demon. Instead of this, I'm its favorite victim. I'm waiting for its terrible treason as I remain a screw of this system. Wow. Oh, well. So the poem I just read was a poem about self-doubt and how we all feel we have a demon inside, but can't always explain what it is, and feel that at the same time it's prisoner of our body and we are its jailer, and this weird concept. So my next poem is called Time is Void. A myriad of wishes grow through his mind, but all wishes are out of its grasp. No magic lamp that he could ever find could grant him his wishes and make him gasp in awe before some divine miracle. Hope itself is just a lie we tell ourselves to feel like we are our own pinnacle, when in the present we should always dwell. Dreaming is as well an unconscious lie, because we never dream of things we have. We remember past as asleep we lie. Time gone is part of what we couldn't save. We should always accept that all there is the present moment and nothing more. Time is void, just as it is part of his time, to come in the void, just as before. That was a good one. Oh, thank you, Itachi. Thank you for staying. Honestly, it's so cool. Like honestly, most of the time I read by myself, and it's a little, well, it's a little disturbing. Mm. I really, really like to stream. By the way, I mean, I've been streaming myself for a few months, but pretty unsuccessfully. Let's see if I can find a poem that's a little bit more cheerful, because I feel like I'm a downer with those poems. I have one. It's one of my favorite ones. It's um it's called I Dance. Always remember, don't let the numbers phase you. Well, yeah, to be honest, I can't look at the number. It's hard to find what to say when I'm by myself, so I end up basically reading poem after poem, and having somebody just, you know, present makes me want to be more, how do you say that? Well, to interact more, to answer, and actually, sometimes I feel like I read my poems and I don't explain what they mean because nobody's asking, which is super weird. Sometimes I feel like I should have some type of host that says, okay, we're gonna have this reading, and what does that mean? Why did you write this, or something like that? But I don't know. It's complicated, I guess. But you've got a really good thing going on, and you've got good tips, dude. Honestly, and I loved the vibe you had. You super welcoming and nice, and I didn't feel at all like like it was a bad vibe server. uh, anyway, the next poem I'll be reading is called I Dance. At night, I dance with my shadows, the song in my mind humming low follows my steps in afterglows. In the eye of the tornado, I'm swirling high above the ground. All is blurred into vertigo. I forget everything I know while listening to silent sounds. I forget everything I know. I remember days long ago when we danced beneath that willow and we kissed under mistletoe. I lost my heart in that meadow. I dance alone with my shadow. The lights dim and there's no sound. My despair does not let me go. As I dance, I remain shallow. My distress reigns on my gallows, as all is buried by sorrow. Oh, if only I could let go, forget each one of my wounds, but I lost, by curses spellbound, my shadow and self long ago. Light surrounds me. The fire grows and burns and twirls in tempo. My ghost left thy burial grounds. Now they free, and we waltz around. We spin as ourself we confound, and soon I forget all I've known. The darkness is cold to the skin, in my mind to the void akin, my inner walls are closing in. Soon my shadow is breaking in. My phantom guides me by the hand, from here to past long forgotten. I'm with her, dancing on the sand, beneath golden clouds of cotton. Then I dance with my shadow, till we are both one with the dark, as this present that's just a spark. I vanish within the void's flow. You're doing something different. Keep at it. I think if you went into the ASMR section now, and then you could gain some viewers too, since poems are listening experience. I don't know what is ASMR section. Uh, is it like um, just chatting or something like that? Like one of those sections, you mean? I gotta admit, reading for a couple of hours will make my jaw fall. uh, let's see. I think I have a really cool poem that you might like. Those ones are a little bit more cheerful. It's a category on Twitch, like just chatting, but it's all about listening and not visual. Okay, cool. I think I'm gonna try that. That is so cool. Yeah, I guess on the just chatting, it might not be the best place for poetry. Mm, I'm not sure if my place is in music either, to be honest, because I saw that there is like this section for art, but it's all musician and drawers, painters, you know. Uh, here. Oh, yes. As butterflies entwine with the flowers, she appears among them like a rainbow. The enticing rise of purple water repaints the world of colors like a show. Through acid and smoke she paints back the world, and the darkness is removed by colors. While as snails we are within ourselves curled, or as butterflies we fly and flutter, she repaints the plants with new found flowers. The psychedelic mushroom sink in core, as they use their colorful powers. The joy amplifies her own desire. Soon the world itself is full of colors, and music and joy swirls and twirls around. The air itself is like golden summer, as all is covered with colors and sound. If lucky, you too will see Rainbow Lass. Then you too will wonder if she's real, or if you're looking through the looking glass at some other world seeming so surreal. Art is what you make it I think writing poetry is an art. If you wrote poems live and then read them, I think that could bring attention to you as well. Writing poetry is really hard to do in the sense that it requires me to almost go into a. I don't like to use the word meditation, but it's almost like that. Like I'll get disconnected from reality, and it's actually a little bit of a shock when I'm writing and somebody comes and tells me, "Hey, hello," or disturbs me in the activity. So I'm not actually sure I could write while focusing on something else or having like uh, an interaction going on. I'd have to try. It definitely would be an interesting exercise. I mean, it just that I feel like it's already pretty hard to stay on course when I write a poem. Like my mind will by itself start going on the sides, trying to find other logics. And very often, when I'm done writing a poem, I'll have to come back to it and kind of like um, get rid of parts that are not consistent with the poem. It's pretty hard actually. It feels a little bit like self censorship and self mutilation somehow. I know it's pretty extreme to say, but it's just because poetry feels a little bit like an extension of myself somehow. Hey, tell me about yourself, Itachi. I'm really curious. I mean, are you a family man or are you like living on your own and still trying to find your way in the world? Okay. I live with my family. Oh, that's beautiful, dude. I live on my own, but I almost was married a few years back. I was with this woman for 7 years, and we were about to get married, and sometimes bad things happen. I be streaming and posting. Oh yeah, for sure. Um, well, I'll probably stop in a little while, and I might join you and say hi on your stream. Thanks so much for the visit, dude. Like honestly, it's been awesome to have somebody talk to me. And I'll see you later, dude. Falling in a well from within which I see infinite timelines and realities, all converging in one another. In overwhelming array of colors, I see the silhouette of rainbow lass, glittering from uncounted twinkling stars. It's like seeing her through the looking glass when by myself and not find this bizarre. She makes me want to dance and sing around birthday songs that silence all other sound. Yet her voice is a gate to other worlds and tells the stories of legends untold that if followed can lead us to treasures fitting to our own pleasures and measures. It's like she wants to share her inner thoughts and with words inspire our inner hopes, connecting all dots as if all was wrought together in a kaleidoscope. Goodbye, Itachi. Bye bye. Thanks so much for the visit, dude. another poem to read. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll read one more and then I'll stop. I lay in the grass and look at the sky. The blue of the sky becomes a rainbow as the spirit opens through my third eye. While the sun disappears, rainbow lasts close. It's dusk or perhaps dawn, I could not tell. I see her appear in the shapes of clouds. All swirls as if I'm on a carousel, and the world seems to be blurred by shrouds. Then she repaints the world with her colors. Cats and dogs all together surround her, yet neither are tamed or wear a collar. The dogs eat from her hands, and the cats purr. For me, the universe is just a blur, yet sometimes I dream about Rainbow Lass. If each single second seems to be a year, I feel beneath my head the growth of grass as I lay down beneath the starlit sky and look at fluttering red butterflies. What would be your dreams if you could choose what to dream? Imagine you could dream for any length of time, and you could choose any dream you would want to dream, lasting as long as another complete lifetime. What would be your dreams if you could choose what to dream? Imagine it could be anything you wanted, that you would be able to pick every theme, or that you could choose whatever outfit. Picture you could be anything you want to be. Our dreams are the very nature of our being. They are the one thing that can truly set us free. As even though we are dreamers, we're not sleeping. Our dreams define our nature and what we be. Always follow your dream. Always follow your dream. Fears constantly in the back of my mind, like vulture diving down their dead prey. They turn around my reason just to find if my beaten reason is in decay. I wish I had the will to ignore it, yet it's the only feeling I have left. I have emotions, but somehow they split their definition victim of a death in such way that I still feel love for kin, but that I feel like I'm a diminished version of me. Yet I have never sinned.
at least not enough to be so punished. That insidious feeling turns me ashamed of being victim of events beyond myself that even took my name, hellish events that I could not prevent. Soon, all I feel is basic emotions. There is no future, past, or present. Finding affection, sharing devotion is my only relief from my torment, as if affection was as basic as fear, and the only cure from feeling wretched. It's not anyone, it's the atmosphere. It leaves me numb as my mind is shredded. I feel as alone as ashamed as I feel as alone as ashamed or scared. Yet I crave to protect my emotions, but there is only pity for despair, which soon changes with time corrosion. What was pity is soon aggravated by the feeling that others should act like us. Somehow, the friendship becomes frustrated, that the friend is no more and won't discuss. He is no more because he has fallen, beaten by all even his feelings. Learning that bees don't only need pollen is like learning I'm no one or nothing. Let's see. Oh, I have a viewer. Who's there? Do I have a viewer? Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Sorry, I didn't see you there. I was just reading on my own. Hope you're having a good day or evening wherever you are. Is there any type of thematic you enjoy in poetry? Perhaps I can read that poem for you. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Actually, I really appreciate this because it's pretty hard to how do you call that? Well, you know, read by myself and not feel the sharing, not feel the sharing. Well, if there is any poem you'd like me to read for you, I'd love that. And if there is any type of subject you like, and perhaps I have a poem that I wrote about it, uh, I'll be willing to read it. I do have a list of poems that I go through, so I know I did a poetry reading before it. It's hard if no one here. Anyone you pick is fine. Oh, that is so cool that you do poetry readings too. I love life, true and from heart. Ah, well, let me think. Uh, a poem about love, life, and from the heart. I tell you what, I'll be reading this one that I have right in front of me, and then I'll be reading another that I think might be more in the wavelength of what you're telling me about. Okay. The cycle of life turns always around. One day brings joy that we can't recognize. The following night is a total breakdown. It's so bad it could not be surmised. I get asked the question of how was it, and I got nothing to say about it. How could I ever share an experience to anyone who is inexperienced? How the fuck could I even try to share something that none could even imagine? If they can't understand, could they please spare me those questions that are so maddening? What was friendship turns into annoyance. One day's lover at night be ostracized. None, not even I, has the clairvoyance to see my present depersonalize me from the individual I was. I feel like social exile is my law. I know, just like everyone, I have flaws. But somehow, I feel I became out loud. Depression is okay. To mine are very depressing. Well, if you want, you can join my Discord, and sometime I would love to make a reading together. I mean, ultimately, it's pretty much the reason why I got on Twitch. It's to meet people that enjoy poetry and are in the same kind of, you know, trip, I guess. Let's see. Well, I haven't met that many writers except you. I only have one or two other people in my Discord that are into writing. Okay, let's read another one. Something a little bit less sad. Have you ever wanted to publish any of your writings? Um, kind of. I mean, sometimes it's just I haven't gotten around it. I'm like submerged by stuff to do somehow. It's pretty hard though. I mean, the poetry I write is not. I guess it's not specifically what most people would listen to nowadays, you know. There we go. Wait, where is it? I know it's here. No. Here. Kindle might be the easiest, but yeah, it is hard. It's like a part of yourself. To me, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I know how to read and write a little bit, read because I'm not sure so much, but the the process of self promotion and the process of selling and the process of like editing a book, it's really hard. It takes me so much time to do, and it ends up being like I'd rather write poetries, poems, and stuff like that. Like I'd rather spend a week writing poems than a week trying to understand how to publish a book. uh, I wouldn't worry about what people like if you like it a lot of people out there will like it. Same here, agreed. That is a good point. That is a good point. Uh, well, also, it's kind of funny because I'm very often surprised by um, the poems that people like, that people enjoy listening to. Um, I feel like most of the time in my head I think that people will enjoy happy uh, Teletubbies rainbow kind of poems, and I do talk about subjects that tend to be a little bit deeper than that. I do write, happy poems too. It's just uh, it's less inspiring somehow, I guess. Uh, However, I have this poem that I wrote for a friend who's from Wales, and she was telling me the other day about the legends of Wales and stuff like that. So I figured I'd write something about what she described, and I read it to you. The bruising from all the trees leave, sing in core the voice of the wind. Some remain in disbelief while red deer cries, calling the hind. The wolves howl at the crescent moon, and the crowds and the crows cloud the starlit sky. The breeze sounding like a monsoon through the flutter of butterflies. All the spirits of the tree dance with the three druidesses from Wales. All three are women at first glance, and their white dress resembles sails. They are past, present, and future. The eternal cycle, the eternal cycle of rebirth comes and goes as untold rumors, secrets of the whispering earth. The winter and summer solstice dance around the fair spring regions, whom in harmonious injustice spreads life and death through their seasons. You write what you feel. I think all poets do. Mm, well, yeah, I write very often for myself on thematics and subjects that touch me, but I'll make the effort to actually also write poems for other people because I find it an interesting exercise in the sense that, okay, so um, I write poems about the things I live, about the things I feel, and the things I've seen. And sometimes when I was younger, I would write poems for, let's say, women's, because, I guess I was a little bit of a romantic guy. And I very quickly understood that as a writer, as a poet, the poems I would write would never be understood the way I wrote them. That basically the message has to come from the person that listens to them or that reads them. And nowadays, many years later, I actually find the exercise of writing for someone really interesting in the sense that I don't focus anymore about my feelings for someone, but I focus on what that person has as a passion, what they like to do. So, for example, a few days ago, I wrote a poem for a friend that's a guy, and for me, it's really hard to write poems for guys because I'm not into it. But I like the exercise, and he's a marathon racer. So instead of writing about his character traits and stuff like that, I wrote about racing, and he loved it. I enjoyed that poem. Makes me think and want to explore the meanings. Yep, I found that stuff. I wrote meant one thing to me, but meant something different to other people. Yeah, it does. It does. Very often. And it is pretty hard. But if you want, I'll read you the poem. My friend actually really enjoyed it. Mm. On the other hand, it's a purely mental exercise. I mean, there is no emotional bond between that poem and me personally, because it's not a thematic that actually touches me, and it felt a little bit more like a work, you know, like instead of me doing my passion, I was doing something for someone else. Sure, I love all poetry I hear. It helps me learn a lot too. Nice, cool. Well, here it comes. The guy from up north was jogging. A days through different forest paths he was running and walking if tired and needing his rest. In his campaign to become best, he runs side by side to strollers, cyclists, and random walkers. His willpower and strength harnessed in his sole goal. One ambition that surpasses his deepest feeling makes him run straight to his mission. At first, he may be just kneeling, but in front line, victorious, he raises his arm as he breathes. 'Tis the price of being glorious. He frees his mind and boosts his health. Another day, he's in a racetrack, running to the podium faster, and even when he has setback and can only walk in pasture, he gets back on his feet and run for life, for the win, and for fun. Oh, oh, my jaw is starting to hurt. uh, that is great. Whoa. Made me think of what my dad went through as a race car driver many years before I was born. Nice. Nice. But you see, you can write poems for basically everybody. The thing is, it's really complicated because either you want to write about your own expression, and then it's not a poem for someone. It is a poem that you write about your own expression that you can share, but it will never be a personal connection. Or you can write about someone's passion. You see what I mean? Like you were telling me about your dad being a race car driver. If you write a poem about race car driving and you're not into race car driving, this is literally a poem you write for someone else. And it's a pretty hard exercise, but it's a lot of fun at the same time. And people get, well, they like it. They like it a lot more than if you tell them that, uh, if you write a pretty poem about, oh, nice they are or something like that. Like looking through the eyes of the person you're writing for. Exactly. That's precisely it. That's precisely it. I'll be honest with you though. I've been writing most of my life, if not all of my life, and this is something that I've just started to approach because it's pretty hard actually to do. But the sooner you start doing it, and the better you get at it. 40 years, 44 years been working at it. Well, there you go. Yep. I'm 37, about to turn 38 here. Well, more like 40, yeah, obviously. Yeah, same here. I haven't written for the 37 years I've been here. But on and on, I'm honest with you. Like, it's a perspective that anybody can have. Putting himself in the place of somebody else, that is actually writing for someone else. Much more than the expression of our own feelings and how we perceive them. People will get complimented about poems like that, the second ones, but they won't be able to connect the way we express it most of the time. I mean, I guess Mother's World or Wives, perhaps. I'm not sure about Wives, to be honest. Like, personally, I've been writing forever and I can't remember any instance in which I went out with a woman that loved what I wrote, like, that really deeply loved it. They all saw it like, that's my stuff. uh, but that's my personal experience, though, so I imagine there must be. Well, I imagine there's more than what I see of this world. I try to stay a little bit humble on that. I mean, so my next poem is called We're Nothing to No One. We are ourselves in the beholder's eye. We can't know ourselves like do the others. We always feel like we wear a disguise when we're nothing, not even brothers. Looking at ourselves through the looking glass, we could never see whom we really are. We look, at best, our reflection could pass for a parody of someone bizarre. We know that we are not who's facing us. Yet we just don't know whom we really are. About all that, why should we make a fuss? We are nothing and certainly no star. One day we are an infant, pure from sin. The next we are a child running around. And soon we act exactly like our kin. Before we know it, we are underground. Still, even those who knew us don't know us. So nobody really knows anyone. We are not even really a sack of guts. Indeed, really, we are nothing to no one. I know I always wanted a girlfriend who would help me to focus more on writing Instead, I find a girl who hates reading. Yeah, yeah. That's pretty much the way it is. uh, it is a complicated thing. I mean, the thing is, I guess everybody dreams of connecting and be seen for what we are, but in the end, we love who we love without really wait without the reason being behind it, like reason isn't part of love in the end. I mean, we can wish for stuff, but what we get is probably better in some ways and not exactly what we want. That is so true, but I always felt like nobody can ever really know me, especially if I don't know myself. Is that what the poem meant to you? Yeah, it is exactly what it means. It is precisely that. It's it's that state of being confused about the nature of being. What does it mean? Um, do I exist because others perceived me the way I exist? Do I exist because I believe I exist? And even when I believe I exist, I mean, I don't know about other people, but on a personal level, I question myself every day. I have questions to myself all the time. Like, am I going in the right direction? Am I doing the right thing? Or am I just fooling myself into believing that I can actually, for example, be a writer or do something more than what I do? Sometimes not what we want in a relationship, but the relationship we have with significant others is sometimes what we need, though we didn't know it. Yeah, that is exactly it. Hmm. Well, I like your explanation of the poem, thank you. Well, thank you for being there. Honestly, like, it allows me to explain a little bit about my poems. Otherwise, I read them one after the other and it's a little bit senseless. I mean, I enjoy doing it and I'm hoping that somebody's gonna watch it, but it's still more agreeable to interact. Here's another. There are no distance, just as distance. What is close looks bigger, and what is far away seems to be smaller. The first will take all the place in our sight. The second is just one star in a clear night. Yet, distance doesn't change the importance or severity of inadvertence. So all that's wrong comes from ignorance. Thus, we will never find deliverance. Looking too closely can blind our insight, and what's insignificant can seem huge. In some way, it can inspire contrite. In others, it can be a subterfuge. Looking from far away can diminish size and importance from everything. All seeing is at best something skittish, because we can't comprehend anything. We lock ourselves behind featureless walls, losing sight and insight of everything. In total panic and despair we fall. Yet Our consciousness is locked on one thing. When anyone looks at the big picture, they lose track of what's the nature of things. They don't understand where leads the future because we can't predict anything. I'm gonna have to pick up some water because my throat is super dry. We can't even predict ourselves. I like that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for listening, my friend. I hope you enjoyed the next one. The next one is called The Two Stories. There are two kinds of stories we tell kids. Those two stories will grow in us like seeds. They will be there as we shut our eyelids. While we grow older, they'll become our creeds. In the first story, we are another, whom, through genius and good deeds, saves the day. It teaches us how to be together, makes us feel others' notion as in a play. We will picture ourselves as the champion, and it will inspire us to do good. Just as Ham will feel every sensation within ourselves, we will find empathy's root. The second tells us to fear difference, or that if you do wrong, you'll be punished. That what's abnormal by our experience should be perceived as such and be banished. Usually, we use warnings as threats. Thus, if we are told to be suspicious of strangers, it will become our mindset. By then, we will see the weird as vicious. Those two tales will conflict within ourselves, sometimes being deliberately bad, other times being good to prove ourselves. The unbalanced symmetry drives us mad. Hello, Fusion Daddy. Welcome to my channel. Even though Twitch says only 2 people are here, there is actually 5 watching. Wish the number would be better on Twitch. Well, I actually appreciate you saying this because I feel sometimes a little bit lonely in here reading poetry. And hello to everybody else that's watching. Oh gosh, it's hard to keep reading like this. What are we? What are we if not lies we tell ourselves? Our past events are like books from shelves. We will barely spend an hour in 12 to recall what really is within ourselves. Nothing is real unless we make it real. Looking at others to define ourselves is part of our insanity. It seals us from what defines our deeper inner self. Does the question remain without answer? What are we if not the stories we live? At this universe, I wish I could swear it'd be useless and worth more just to live. What inspired you to write that last poem? So I imagine you talking about the two stories poem that I wrote. I was thinking about childhood. Uh, when I was a kid, I remember listening and reading stories, and it was always about something heroic. Um, somebody that did something out of the boundaries of our society, that went further than anybody else, that did more, or something that had some kind of ambition and actually broke the limits that we have on ourselves. About heroism, basically. And I was thinking to myself, those stories are the ones that inspired the most my desire to do good in the world. And then at the same time I was thinking, what's the source of, you know sometimes the spite that human being feel towards others? Because honestly, nowadays we have so many people that are filled of loathing for strangers, and they don't know them. They don't know why they feel loathe. They just feel it. And it's so strange to think that somebody could start, like the normal relationship with someone could start as lower than just I don't know you, I don't care, to I don't know you, I hate you. And I was thinking about this, and the only source of that loathing comes from childhood, in which in a time in which, when we were kids, somebody told us, don't talk with strangers, they will hurt you. Um, don't go swimming in the river, you will be taken away by the river and you will drown. Or don't, don't try new stuff because you could get hurt, basically. And in the end, to me, it felt a little bit like, well, obviously, it's linked to fear, that inner feeling of fear, that I don't like something because I fear it. But I think that if we can understand where the source of those emotions come from, we can actually surpass it somehow. Perhaps not stop us from having feelings, but definitely act as human beings, I mean, nothing stops any other human being from loving or loathing anybody, but we shouldn't feel that way because we're told to feel that way, you know. It should be more of a personal experience, I guess. Wow. And once we bypass that fear, we will find we all have more in common than not. Well, yeah, pretty much. Or at least, I'm not saying that people have rights and stuff like that, because those are abstract concepts and, the important concepts that make our society work. But at the same time, I'm trying to say that basically there is no reason for to treat another human being as less or more than who we are. It's better to look at another human being as an equal. Uh, be it that that human being may have opposite perspective or conflicting ideas or whatever, it doesn't matter. The most important is to recognize the person in front of you is exactly as the person you are. hope that explanation made sense. If only we can find a way to be more open-minded and be respectful. Yeah, yeah. Uh, I don't think there is an organized way to do it. Like, people tried religion, people tried philosophy, people tried all of those things. And the way I personally see it is, uh, are you familiar with the concept of revelation? Like, when you see something that's miracle-like, something that you see and nobody else will believe you if you said it. Well, that's how I see a revelation, like in religion, for example, in the Catholic religion, I would have somebody come over, tell me the Son of God came to be born 2,000 years ago from a virgin woman. And that by itself is the revelation, but it's from a third party. I mean, it's not me who's observed a woman that's a virgin having a child that I can see as the child of God. However, like for example, let's say that I had seen a woman giving birth while virgin to the child of God. And I go to my neighbor and I tell him, hey dude, I just saw a woman give birth to the child of God. There is no way my neighbor is gonna believe that. And that's the thing. It's normal he wouldn't believe about it because it's a third party information. And truly, revelation is something personal, it's something inner. So I don't believe that any organized doctrine or religion or ideology can actually help humanity as a whole to be open minded, but we can do it on an individual level. We can surpass our own self, if we admit that we are humane, that we have feelings like jealousy, love, hate, all of those things that are actually humane, we can actually try not to systematically react on them. We can surpass that emotion and, think reasonably about what's happening in front of us. I was sitting in my room praying, and I shot through a tunnel and was speaking to a messenger, maybe from God, before being thrown back to my body. And no one will ever believe me because they didn't experience it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. But I'll tell you what. It is not a prerequisite that people believe you if they can understand what you mean. You know, I know it's hard to explain, but it's a little bit like poetry, in the sense that when I write a poem, I know it's not gonna be understood the way I wrote it, but at the same time, there is a sharing, there is a message, and people can enjoy it just as much as I enjoy it. Yes, we need to do it as individual, and yep, not being so closed-minded. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, in the end, we're all just humans with flaws and qualities. Like the people that will pretend to be perfect aren't existent, they lying. And just by doing that, they're actually proving the fact that they're not perfect. So, yeah, I like your explanation, thank you. And all bleed red. Exactly, exactly. Plus, we're all in there together. I mean, people can say that it's everyone for themselves, but in the end, if one of us. Have you ever heard of this quote? Nobody will ever be free as long as there will. As. How is it? Nobody will ever be free as long as everybody isn't free. And I agree with that. As long as there is a master and slave or subordinate or whatever you want to call it, like a status, nobody's ever gonna be free. As much as the guy that has the best status as the guy that has the lowest status, they'll all both be prisoners of their situation, of their position, of their birth, of their family, of their, you know. But then again, I'm not sure if we can truly ever be free. Yep, we need to see ourselves as equals. No one is lesser or greater. Precisely. Well, you've got a good horn, dude. Vietnam, it's really nice to meet you, man. Where are you from, by the way? Are you from Europe, or are you from America, or Asia, Australia, Africa? So many places. Northeast America. In Connecticut. Oh, fun. Nice. Nice. Okay, you're the first Connecticutan person I met here. Just a few hours from New York. So right now I'm in Belgium, Brussels, in Europe. My mom is from Argentina and my dad is from New York. And I was born in Belgium. I grew up in the three continents, and eventually I came back in Belgium because I don't know, life is easier for me, I guess, over here. Less complicated. Mm. But I guess I was lucky in the sense that I learned a lot of languages and I got a diverse education, which led me to understand that, for example, history classes in school. I had history classes in South America, North America, and Europe about the Second War, and all three continents tell the same stories, but with different perspective and opinions, and different details are more valorized in different culture. Awesome. I have met more people from Belgium on here than from anywhere else so far. Nice, nice. I don't think I've met any Belgian yet. I mean, I've seen a couple of streamers that are Belgian, but Belgium is so divided at the moment. I feel like there is less and less humanists in my country somehow. Um, the political background is not the best. Wow, and if we put all three together, we could get an actual picture of history. Yes, yes. At the same time, I don't know because there is some parts that are missing. Like the version of the Second War history I've had was from the perspective of one, the winners, and two, um, well, the those that wrote history for us. Uh, like I would personally really appreciate to have the perspective of people that were on the opposite side, not part of the Allies. I mean, not if they fucking insane and have like racist perspective, but you know, to understand a little bit how they lived that and how they perceived it, because only having the perspective of the victorious ones, I mean, somehow there is obviously stuff that I don't fully comprehend just because I'm biased, basically. Here's my next poem. What is insanity? If anything beyond me is insane, Anything that's different from my world could be the origin of my migraine. I feel around me everything weird. What will be part of that insanity? It's a word because nothing is alike. Beyond my world there is infinity. Beyond what I like and what I dislike. Insanity is being freed from all, from others as well as everything else. It's my true face and it's my overall. It's the walls of my sanity that melts. Because sanity itself is blinded, and insanity is true clairvoyance. My walking contradictions reminded that it wasn't even given a chance. I'm insane, you're insane, we're all insane. The world is too fast and my mind too slow. Beyond my choice, I could just abstain, let myself be buried 6 feet below. I tried unrealistic expectation to redefine myself through others' eyes. That was insane. It ain't got definitions. None's even capable to empathize. As everyone is too different from another, I can't understand anyone else. I'm insignificant. Who's to blame for the loss of innocence? All sane people are true impostors. They roleplay anyone to anyone, while the insane are walking disasters. They are true to themselves as no one is. Those are poems about insanity. I'm not sure, I'm not too convinced about them. What is normal? Whoever teaches us to be normal, when among all we are one of a kind? We are to believe we are immortal, in such way that our own life would be blind. To our own life would be blind. What be left if all was taken away? All that made us whom we are in our own eyes. It's like living an unending doomsday and enduring it through stress, tears, and cries. It's like that, except for the loneliness. No one can ever understand our truth, as for them it is part of emptiness. It's just to be confessed in a church booth. Then we are asked to mimic other people, because the more people act just as one, the more than the more that one be normal and equal. Through this, no one will ever be someone. Oh, I'm getting tired. I can feel the Wow, that is deep. It reminds me of a study I once read that 90% of all artists and writers, creative people, had some sort of schizophrenia or had family members who were or are insane in some way. I always feel as a writer because artists spend so much time in fantasy world. Sometimes it's hard though. Find the lines between fantasy and reality will become blurred. It's hard to find the lines between fantasy and reality. Yeah, uh, I'll be honest with you, I think all of humanity is crazy. Everybody. And the ones that look like they not are only not because they pretend they not. Not because they follow their inner intuition. I mean, the problem with being insane in the sense that we mean it, it's not that, it's that people are born broken or anything like that. It's that life events and time will make us face things that we won't be able to comprehend. And when faced when facing something that we can't understand, our mind just tries to make sense of it, which usually leads us to either say very stupid things, do stupid things, or yeah, or something on that level. But at the same time, I feel like I'm being a little bit insulting when I say everybody's fucking crazy. Yes, agreed. And if someone says they see something I don't, I won't disagree because our brains are wired differently or use different vibration and may see things that are around that we can never perceive. That is so true, dude. Like, have you heard of how is it called? That phenomenon of people that can see sound as colors. I think it's about a person in 100 or something like that that can actually see, for example, music as colors and vibrations and stuff like that. And apparently, it's very often due to well, neurological problems in which the brain is actually linked in such a way that it interprets, it literally perceives sound as colors. So it's not that they're insane, it's just that they can see it in a different way. I have to admit that myself very often uh, I will see colors where there should be none, but I suspect that well, I have health problems, so I've been under treatment for many years, and I suspect that drugs probably have a hand on it. That, or because my health issue is neurological, I mean it attacks the central nervous system, so eventually I know that I will lose it. So I I imagine I could be so insane that I can see colors. Mm. Okay, let's see. Oh, this one is a nice poem. It's called The Virtue of Disobedience. Or you're tapping into part of the brain others don't. But yes, I have heard of that before. Well, I don't know. To be honest, more and more the time passes, and the more I feel detached from everybody. I imagine that if you're a writer, you probably have the same feeling sometimes. But the I guess everybody has such different experiences of life that it becomes hard for me to connect with difference. It's hard to explain because at the same time, I mean, I really believe that diversity is the real treasure of this earth. Like the more diversity there is, the best it is. And and I really don't like hegemony. So it's hard to think that, you know, I don't like so much difference. uh, so my next poem, The Virtue of Disobedience. As the few take everything and hope fades, there comes a time to question everyone, either that or slit or vein with a blade. If most of us are reduced to no one, as if we could never, as if we, sorry, if most of us are reduced to no one, as if we would never have existed, or if we used as pawn in games of life, then none of our dream or hopes would persist. If the insignificance of the strife reduces us to nothing, then why not fight? Not with stones, blades, or guns, but with our words. Not with the words of one, but with our words, so that disobedience becomes light. A light so strong it could defeat darkness, so bright it brings everyone together, and so powerful it vanquishes darkness. Once and for all, together and forever. Why would anyone be surprised by hate when hate is obviously born from despise? Why doubt when we know the shape of our state? The nature of our anger with surprise should never be taken also granted, as it is part of any living being. Many will tell us we are stranded, but disobedience is led by seeing injustice that could be avoided and should never be assumed as normal, else law and community be voided, and hatred in a form exponential could burden our humanity until there would be nothing but pity. You have to be detached and sometimes have to disconnect from yourself. Yeah, I love the title. Yeah, it's a poem I wrote to remind us, everybody, that, you know, doing the right thing is doing the right thing, and there is something worth about being disobedient when people forget a little bit of the morality of this world. It's never easy, but it is most rewarding at time doing the right thing. I actually believe that doing being helpful is the natural instinct and intuition of human beings. That human beings have to be taught how to hate, how to loathe other people. And for example, war to me is totally unnatural. Like, people have to learn how to kill another human being. Like, it is not natural for a human being to kill another human being. Usually, even historically, like, people will like to pretend that humans being have been killing each other for millennia. But the truth is that even back in the Middle Age, when people fought in battlefield, they didn't kill each other. They just wounded each other to, so the guy in front falls and then they keep fighting. So most people, yeah, they died obviously of infection, of bleeding out and stuff like that. But nobody was, fighting in the middle of a battlefield, killing his opponent, and then making sure he's dead by doing coup de grâce on him systematically. So I think what is natural for humans may be to impose our will, but it is something that we should fight, like true reason. But that organized warlike tendencies is very much unnaturally humane. It's something that we created. Hmm. Let's see, what other poem should I write? Or should I read? I'm gonna start ending this stream because I'm getting so tired and it's Christmas Eve. But there is one poem I'd like to read. Let's see if I find it. Where is it? Ah, there. When will you stream again? I try to stream every day, but I'll be honest with you, I have, I have responsibility on the side, so it's pretty hard for me to have a schedule actually. Um, I have a medical condition called amyloidosis HATTR. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a rare disease, an orphan disease, so it's not very common, and I have to play guinea pig at the hospital, so it takes a lot of my time, and okay, this is a little bit depressing, but I'm also a fire survivor, and I'm suing the insurances, so on and on. And at the moment, I have a pretty complicated life. This is actually my relaxation time. It's the one thing I do for myself, just because I love it. Like, reading poems is all I want to do in life, really. Reading poems and writing. I will pray for you. I had a stroke a few years ago, so I can't know some of how complicated it can get. Thank you so much, dude. Thank you so much. That is awesome. Uh, I should let you know perhaps that I'm um, a free um, how do we call that? A free mind. I mean, I don't adhere to any confession, but thank you so much. Like, uh, I still really appreciate the gesture and thought, and yeah, thank you. This is a poem I actually wrote after the fire I survived. Perhaps you like that I read it to you. You could just give me a few instants, because I need to breathe a little bit, and I guess, yeah, I just need a few instants. I should do something for when I'm not reading poems, because I just don't know how to keep you guys distracted otherwise. No problem. I'm very open-minded to learning all religions, so I kinda came up with my own sort of things. Okay, so personally I respect a lot all of the religions, and it's one of the reasons why I want to be a free spirit, so people don't feel shy about inviting me in, you know, um, a temple, a church, a mosque, whatever. I don't care, I just like to visit those places because I value the cultural and even the spiritual side of it. Um, that said, I think people like you that make their own belief is ultimately what every human being should be doing. But yeah, I mean, personally, it's I'm very admirative of everyone's yeah, belief in general. I'm more of a, I guess, of a stoic pessimist. I mean, yeah, I I guess I believe there is nothing afterward, but not in a bad way, like in a good way, like you know, in the sense that we are here alive and we have to make the best of it because it's all we have, and we have to be good to each other, and we have to be good to ourselves. I find that Native American and all the major religion all believe the same basic, but with different names. Yeah, actually, I totally agree with you. It's the very reason why I don't want to be part of a doctrine or have any confession, because I feel like somehow when people are part of a community like that, it closes the door to other communities. And even if, for example, I will never be completely part of any community because of my choice, I'm still invited to all of them, which I greatly appreciate. I think, though, that a lot of people have for hope that they would convert me, but yeah, I guess I'm a little bit too much in my head, you know. We become part of the universe, or dust will eventually become part of another world. Maybe we are reborn, who knows? I agree. I agree. Actually, when I say I don't think there is anything after, what you're describing is pretty much what I imagine. Like, it's not that I don't believe there is anything else after, it's that I don't believe there is anything relatable to our existence, to our state, like, well, I'm hoping, to be honest, that somehow my grandparents aren't looking down to me and be super worried about me and stuff like that, or that they don't feel physical pains that they felt when they were alive and stuff like that. I'm hoping that somehow they find some kind of peace out there. Okay, I'm gonna need to go quickly to the restroom. Be right back. Okay, so opening Hell's Gate. I need a second actually. What time is it over there actually, Vietnam? Must be pretty late, I imagine. Let's see. Here it's 7 a.m. So over there it must be like 2 a.m. I think. 1 a.m. Time for bed. Well, it was an excellent company, and I hope to see you again. I'm actually gonna stop the stream too because yeah, it's a little bit too late for me. But yeah, I hope to catch up soon, dude. Honestly. Definitely, I hope you have a great day. We'll do. I joined your Discord, we'll chat. Thank you. Bye bye.